In this video, I'm going to tactically show you the step-by-step approach you need to take when picking the right farm in your real estate business. Now, if you've been following my channel for a little while, you might have heard this before. I've done videos on how to pick the right open house. You can just find that here and go and explore it. I've also got videos on how to pick the right real estate farm. But these tactics in this video, I want to blend together and show you the behind the scenes. So the goal here is to have you farming like a pro, but then we want to couple the best strategies from open houses to say how, when I'm picking the right farm, I can blend the tactics from open housing so that you can not only have the right place to put all your efforts, but also use strategies to deploy to get maxed amount of results, right? So that's the fun part of this video, super tactical, and I'm going to share the behind the screens with you now. So one of the first things when picking a farm that is important is to find a place that is going to be the right size for your ability to commit. Because I don't teach the spray and pray approach, which is if I want to tackle a certain area, like say I'm looking on my screen here and I wanted to zoom in and I want to take over this highlighted area. The spray and pray approach would be simply, okay, what's the budget per letter times how many houses are in it, and it's going to cost me, $2,000 per send out. And okay, I guess for a year, I'm gonna have to do that times however many you want to send every 2 weeks. And now I've got a $48,000 annual budget. Then I spray it, I just pray it and hope that it comes my way. I don't love that approach, right? I like to tackle picking the right size community to your efforts, because when I talk about this, for me, the max impact that you can have when creating a farm is your ability to hit them in the mail. Yes, so the budget we just talked about, but to hit them at the door and then to hit them in between. So, on the roadways and where I can create kind of like an omnipresence among all threes. This is certainly not the spray and pray approach. So I wanted to walk you through some of these things as we're deciding on this. So if I were to explore that, why don't I look at this? The thing that I have on this is in my community, in my city. This is a community called Signal Hill. If you look at the map here, and I've got it satellite view, so you can kind of see that this is a pretty big section, isn't it? Right? We've got, cul-de-sacs and crescents and major routes. And if I were to click on this, in another section in Canada here, I'll show you what I would do to find this. I would go to my precision targeter. This is what Canada Post uses, and I'm going to walk you through what this looks like. So if I wanted to go and find Signal Hill, it would be, okay, I know it's down in this area. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to scroll across, and that was this area, all of these highlighted items that I'm showing you here, all these S's. So in Canada, what these are called letter carrier routes. Right? In the US, if you're listening, you would have something different that I'm not fully familiar with your situation. But the goal with this is to say, okay, well, if I want to send out my postcards and I want to also, of course, make some impact on the street, how many houses am I talking about? Well, if I went back to this screen to show you that area, it's big, it's a lot. So let me just see, wow, this red section in this area is broken down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letter carrier walks. That's a lot of houses. So the beauty of this is I can click this one. If I wanted to click on this, it would tell me, if I hover over it, that there's 599 houses. So this one letter carrier walk would line up really well with what I've taught before, which is if you're starting to farm a community and you want to take impact on the streets, at the doorway, on the roadways, and of course in the mailbox, this is in line with an area that would work from a sizing. Because I always teach that you should, in your first year of taking over a farm, that you should hit the front door 4 times, meaning your job is to door knock and meet as many of the people but 4 times throughout the year while you were sending out the mail in the mail however many times. Now, my suggestion when we start is also 24 touches a year. But to make a farm go from 0 to hero, you would want to understand this. So you would need your precision targeter like this to explore. But now let's go a little deeper. Let's say, okay, the sizing makes sense for me and my commitment. The budget, when I run the math on the dollar per postcard with the frequency I want to send, oh, you know what? I can afford that. If that becomes the case, we need to look deeper. And I wanted to look beyond some of the things I've taught you before. The things I taught you before was what's the competition in the area, right? Is there any top agents that have big percentage of market share, right? The more of them, if there's lots of them, and they have a total of lots of percentage of market share, you're going to have a big kind of uphill climb to create yours, right? But if you find out that the community has kind of like one top agent and their market share is maybe 5 to 10%, this is leaving a lot of market share for you to go after. So this, again, things I taught about. But again, I want you to go back to another video for that. What I want to bring you back into is let's explore this. Let's go deeper into this area. And now that was this little letter carrier walk. What do you guys see? So what do I see here? A couple things I want you to know. To get into this area of homes, there's only one major road here that people turn down this street. They got to come up this road, and then this whole area kind of branches off of this one road. So if I was going to consider farming this little section of homes, there's really only 1 and 2 major routes in, and then there's one main drag that kind of feeds everybody. To me, this is again why you would pick a good open house here, because if you had a home somewhere in this section, it'd be very easy to put your big sandwich boards out there on, 3 major routes like this corner, this corner, this corner, and anybody that's coming to these homes, homeowners, the future homeowners you want to sell to, they're going to go past one of your 3 properties. Now let me do a little screen out and contrast this. So if I went down into more of the inner city of my market, this is an area I used to farm. It's called Shaganappy. So let me look at this. For those of you, again, you don't know the city, Bow Trail here is a major commuter artery. This one here is also a commuter artery. But now, if I were to host an open house, or in this case, farm a community, and I'm trying to get attention share from all of the homeowners, well, I want to tell you how many ways you can get in this community. You can get in here, you can get in here, you can get in here, 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 here. You can get into all of these places. This section of homes is about 500 homes, very similar to where I was going, and I pulled up this section in Signal Hill and I scrolled into this. But the ability to get sign exposure, right? Either an open house, right? If it's an open sign, if it's a for sale, if it's a just listed, all of these things, you have much better opportunity within this farming section to make attention share to these homeowners. This is kind of the concept I wanted to show you and walk you through. So as you're picking open houses, or again, we're talking about picking the right farm for your business, these are the things I want you to consider. Now, of course, if the turnover, we've talked about this in another video where there's just not enough turnover. The goal is to get around 6% turnover in a community. If the turnover is light, but you've got this great little like sliver of the city where there's only 1 or 2 ways in, then it might not be worthwhile, right? Or if there's a lot of competition in that little section, again, it might be one of these things that when you sum all the parts together, it still has to make a positive decision for you. But I wanted you to do this exercise, both to visibly look from whatever version of your Google Maps or Google Earth you have, and also jump into your precision targeter, wherever it's in Canada or not, to say, okay, which areas make sense for me, where the ability to afford the direct mail pieces matches your budget, on top with, if I could pick the perfect community, it would have the smallest number of entry points, and it would have the smallest number of like major routes. Because when I put up any signage whatsoever, and in the early goings, it's going to be probably an open house sign, then it's going to be a for sale sign, then it's going to be a sold sign, and then maybe you get smart and you put a bunch best ad once you've established it. You can use this combination of efforts along with an appropriate size farm so that when you are out there door knocking your way through it, you know you're going to make the most impact with every little piece you do, and it's handleable for you. Now, if I were to scroll this community, and then what happens is, you see, here's this section. If you see this highlighted, oh, it goes away a little bit. If I zoom in to show you kind of something that, so say your budget only allowed for a little bit less than the 600. But you see when you click on this, it's going to 509, but you only want to use 400, right? And you realize that if you're going to try to take over this community, this section down here where this same letter carrier walk is part of what you need. So when you send out a piece of mail, it's going to go across this whole entire highlighted item. But maybe this section down here, you don't think you're going to get to because it's too many homes for you currently in your scenario to go and door knock. Well, say you're going to go after these, and these are going to be your hard attack point. You've got a great little low entry points, you've got ability to make signage, you have low competition, and you're going to go after these homes. But you're not going to hit on the ground with these other ones. This would be your spillover section. This would be the area that is only getting sprayed and prayed and is not seeing the same attention that you're putting into this area. So when you're picking the right farm and you're trying to cross-reference it with the letter carrier walk or the letter carrier route, whatever you want to call it, what we want to do is have the least amount of spillage, meaning my send out budget is going farther than my walking budget. The better you can overlay, the better. So look at this one, right? If I clicked on this guy beside us, right? What is this saying? I gotta click it. I want to show. Oh yeah, there we go. 405 houses. Oh, perfect. Okay, 405. That's my budget. Okay, I rerun the numbers, look at my competition, do all these things. But now, if you look at this, 400. If this is a very easy self-contained area, again, that has very few in and outs. It's on budget and there's no spillover like this poor route where there's this section down here that's spilling over 200 homes that you're not going to physically get to. Now, if I were to go back to that major map, that's this section over here now. So if I'm looking here, we've got one major in route, we've got another major in route, and then there's a couple more in here. So a few more paths where somebody can sneak into their house. And if you had open house signs here and down here and down here, you wouldn't catch these homeowners. Okay, not the end of the world, but that's just part of the conversation. Again, if you contrast that to the Shaganappi area where there was 14 entry points versus 3 or 4, you're still doing a lot better off. And now this section here is on budget for you. So we want least spillage. So your budget for postcards and mailers matches as much as possible your walking routes, the WRs. If these can equal, you're going to have the best efficiency on building up your farm in the mailbox, at the front door, and then of course with the least entry points, you're going to have most attention share and impact for every sign that hits the ground whenever you are out there building. So this is why I wanted to kind of just share you this inside route to give you my insider thoughts on how to pick the best farm, coupled with some of the best open house strategies, and you can see how they marry together. Do this, go back to those other 2 videos, and I hope you'll have a ton of value and you pick the right one with max efficiency.